Okay.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, Tuesday, January 11th. I call this TAC meeting to order. I'm filling in for Kelly LeDuc today. There's a statement regarding virtual meetings. There was much discussion at the January TPO policy board meeting. And for now, TAC will meet virtually until we hear otherwise. This is a change since our last TAC meeting. Chet, is there anything more we need to say?
Yes, actually, I need to read a statement regarding our ability to hold the virtual meeting, given the current circumstances. So if that's okay with you, I'll read that right now.
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Any public body or any joint meetings thereof may meet by electronic communication means without a quorum of the public body physically assembled at one location, when the locality in which the public body is located has declared a local state of emergency pursuant to 44-146.21, provided that 1, the catastrophic nature of the declared emergency makes it impracticable or unsafe to assemble a quorum in a single location, and 2, the purpose of the meeting is to provide for the continuity of operations of the public body or the discharge of its lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. The public body convening a meeting in accordance with this subdivision shall A, give public notice using the best available method given the nature of the emergency, which notice shall be given contemporaneously with the notice provided to members of the public body conducting the meeting. B, make arrangements for public access to such meeting through electronic communication means, including video conferencing if already used by the public body. And C, provide the public with the opportunity to comment at those meetings of the public body when public comment is customarily received, and otherwise comply with the provisions of this chapter. The nature of the emergency, the fact that the meeting was held by electronic communication means, and the type of electronic communication means by which the meeting was held shall be stated in the minutes. The provisions of this subdivision shall be applicable only for the duration of the emergency declared pursuant to 44-146.17 or 44-146.21. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chet. So yes, we will be meeting remotely until we hear otherwise, but Chet has the formal, which he just read. So it's time for roll call. Ms. Firestone, if you would please do roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Town of Ashland, Miss Amos.
Here.
Chesterfield County, Miss Smith.
Here.
Miss Walker. Goochland County, Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Hanover County, Mr. Badunez.
Here.
Mr. Flagg. Henrico County Vice Chair Smidler.
Here.
Mr. Yor. New Kent County, Ms. LeDuc. Powhatan County, Mr. Chardine.
Here.
City of Richmond, Ms. Clark. Mr. Bridewell. Capital Region Airport Commission, Mr. Rutledge. DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky.
Here.
Mr. Sparks. GRTC, Ms. Torres. Ms. Robinson.
Here.
Plan RBA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Mr. Ariel.
Here.
Ride Finders, Ms. Tisdale. Mr. O'Keefe.
Here.
RMTA, Ms. Simmons. VDOT, Ms. McAdory. And Ms. Mueller.
Here.
Janice, Ms.
Thank you,
Clark
Madam
is
Vice Chair.
joining-
That concludes the roll call for attendance.
Janice, Ms. Clark has joined us.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. So we're all done with roll call. So
Yes, ma'am.
next on the agenda is consideration of amendments to the action meeting agenda. Are there any amendments? Not hearing any. We'll move on to the next item, approval of the December 14th TAC meeting minutes. So I have a motion.
It's John O'Keefe. I'll make a motion.
This is Nicole. I second it.
Ms. Firestone, if you please do a roll call, or do we need to do a roll call for the meeting minutes? Yes.
Certainly. Ms. Amos,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Vadunez,
Here. Aye, rather.
Vice Chair Smidler,
Aye.
Mr. Shardine, I'll go back to him. Ms. Clark,
Aye.
thank you. Ms. Dubinsky,
Aye.
Ms. Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe,
Aye.
and Ms. Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call for the minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Firestone. Next on the agenda, number 3 is open public comment period. Mr. Parsons or Ms. Firestone, have we received any comments or anything in the chat?
I'm
We
not
have
aware of
not.
any comments received. We do have a couple folks that are attending the meeting virtually today, and the advice is if you have questions during the meeting, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen in the Zoom webinar window where you can submit questions for the TAC, and we can address those at the appropriate time. But otherwise, Ms. Firestone stated we're not aware of other comments or requests to speak at the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons and Ms. Firestone. Next is the TAC Chairman's Report. Well, Happy New Year, everyone, and excited to work on some upcoming projects this year and work with everyone. We're already off to a busy start, but that's all I have. Next on the agenda, number 5 is the RRTPO update by Mr. Parsons.
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to point your attention to the agenda packet, the current work efforts on page 7. Kind of regular updates on a lot of the work that is currently underway. I think the most timely, we'll hear an update this morning regarding the bicycle pedestrian plan update. We are also working through the scoring of STBG and CMAQ applications, and that's expected to see some turnaround for review and recommendation at the February and March meetings. I think one other thing to note, and we can, Madam Chair, we can probably cover this under the next meeting at the end, but we do need to be, we've been asked to host the interagency review for Tri-Cities MPO at the outset of our February TAC meeting in this virtual platform so that they can cover their conformity determination, much like we did for ours a few months ago. But that's something that staff will make sure we put on the agenda, and we'll need to decide between now and then whether we start the meeting a little bit early to cover that or just put it on as a first item on our regular agenda at 9 o'clock. The next item in the staff update is an overview of the upcoming TAC meeting and the agenda that's there. And Ken Lance has joined us this morning, and I'm going to turn it over to Ken to provide that update.
Thank you, Chet, and good morning. You have in your agenda packet the report from the November 18th, 2021 TAC meeting. For the upcoming meeting, which is scheduled for January the 20th, we're going to have 3 presentations, 2 of them around rail transportation. We're going to get an overview of the state rail plan by Randy Selleck of VDRPT. Also, we're going to get an introduction to the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority. And finally, we're going to get an update on the City of Richmond's Pathway to Equity project. We got a presentation some months ago from the city on their Pathway to Equity project. And at that time, they were doing some pretty unique things around public engagement in the form of providing incentives for people to come and fill out a survey and receive a free tacos. They called it Tacos for Transit. And now they've completed those surveys, so they're going to update us on the results of that and some of their recommendations and findings going forward. So that will be on the agenda for our CTAC meeting on January 20th. And I'll be glad to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lance and Mr. Parsons. That's pretty cool. Tacos for transit. I like the creativity. And Mr. Parsons, I like the idea for maybe making it the first item on the February agenda for the interagency comparison. Sometimes it's hard to get people earlier on the 8:30, and I want to make sure we can have a quorum if we need that, but we can discuss further if needed.
Okay, sounds good. And we'll coordinate with Ron and make sure that to see if it has been advertised yet. I'm not sure if there's been a time already shared, but we'll make sure and share your preference with them as we look to the February meeting.
Okay,
The last thing under the TPO update is an information item only. Staff is working on an amendment to our unified work program. We have not done an amendment since it was adopted for FY22 in June. We do need to clear up some of the task hours that have been assigned to staff and reorganize a little bit. We also want to position ourselves for a couple staff updates that are hopefully going to be happening in the next few months in terms of hiring, so that we can reallocate some of our time in that way. We've had some departures that we haven't accounted for in the work program, and now we'll be able to fill back in. I think the last thing, and I'm not sure if this was just an MPO distribution, but there are new planning emphasis areas that MPOs are supposed to consider for their work program. And I'm not sure if we'll be able to incorporate those in this amendment, but we'll certainly keep our eye on them for the upcoming FY23 work program, which will be coming up for your review in probably May for recommendation to the board in June. And I'm happy to share those recommendations from the feds with you, just so you'll know that these are new things that we need to consider as part of our annual work program. And it's a couple additional things that we've been talking about for a while in terms of things like greenhouse gas emissions and other planning factors that we need to start putting more attention towards as we develop our upcoming work programs. And that's it for the TPO update.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons. Next on the agenda, number 6 is the bike ped RVA update from Ms. Jaycox. Ms. Jaycox, whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much, Sharon. And Janice is going to share my one summary slide with you all. I thought it was the easiest way to talk in 10 minutes about what we've been doing for bike ped. So Janice.
Give me 1 second and let me get that screen back up. And if
Okay.
you want to go ahead and start, I'll have it up in just a second.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Well, it's so nice to be talking to all of you who have been very much a part of this creation of this bike ped plan. We started back in January of 2020, I believe, have an active steering committee that many of you serve on or your staff. And of course, we had to go virtual just a very short time after that. And we were working in parallel with the Connect 2045 planning effort for a lot of our public engagement. And we feel like now that we are past the adoption of the long-range transportation plan, kind of peeling away from that, all that we learned through that process for bike ped is really, really important to us, but we also want to separate and have a more vibrant, robust public engagement process as part of the last few months of the bike ped planning effort. And so and I don't know if you can really see this whole fact sheet at one time on the screen, but we are looking to, maybe if you can, and we just recently met with so many of you about implementation, focused on implementation. And we really appreciate all the good input, because it really will be our locality partners who are going to be instrumental in implementing this plan. So we have of course worked with all of you on a vision, goals, and objectives that guide the plan, but we are structuring the bike ped plan around these 6 big ideas, and that is building off of the Virginia Capitol Trail and the proposed Fall Line Trail that is coming about so positively to serve as kind of an arterial system of trails right through the region, north, south, east, west. We want to prioritize equity and access to our historically underserved populations, and connecting to these networks that are going to be so important to active transportation throughout the region. And there's so many opportunities to connect neighborhoods into some of these smaller trail systems that then tie into the Virginia Capitol Trail, for example, like Cannon Creek Greenway, and others on the east end, and then a lot of improvements on the south side with bike lanes on Walmsley, Warwick, that whole area that has been difficult to serve when it comes to active transportation. We also want to lift up higher, well-recognized industry standards for active transportation infrastructure. We're finding, that we have a whole lot of different ways of doing bike lanes. What needs to be upgraded for the future to better serve the populations and the land use patterns that have changed so much in the last 30 years. We're very focused on that. And then the pedestrian sidewalk network that primarily serves in the transit served areas. We're focusing first on that. Working with GRTC and our partners, local partners, to make sure that those transit stops are fully equipped, and not just those that exist now, but in the future. Utilizing bike boulevards and safe neighborhood streets, since 80% of our street system really is a low traffic stress, relatively low speeds, and low volumes. So those are conducive to better and safer use if we make sure that we adequately sign them and connect them to the larger system. And then provide the tools for our localities. We've spent a lot of time on implementation. You have a lot of tools available at the local level to actually work with the development community in implementing an active transportation system. So those are the 6 big ideas we're organizing ourselves around. And we have some key dates that I'd like to just share with you as we embark on this more public engagement process. We are going to be launching an official public comment period starting with your next TAC meeting on February 8th. In the meantime, prior to that, we'll be meeting again with a steering committee and start with some community engagement using some tools through our story map and large mapping that we can take out into the community. We want to meet folks where they are. We're very open to talking to each of your supervisors or council through their district meetings, participating in events, and all of this will be January, February, early March is our time frame. we're hoping Omicron will allow us to meet more in person than we have been with the long range plan, which has been mostly virtual. So that is our intent, to really focus our efforts in February and March through April, doing that larger public engagement. So we would welcome your suggestions on folks that we should be meeting with. We will also do the Better Together webinar in February 17th, and the TAC meeting on March 17th. The public comment official period ends March 22nd, and that is so that we can work with AvidCore, who is helping us with a final document and making it aesthetically pleasing and more readable and sensible to the average reader, that we will also post on our website that people will be able to actually review and comment on during this whole process. And then we will take it to the Transportation Planning Organization Policy Board meeting as a matter of introduction on April 7th to make sure that they're fully informed and have an opportunity to review it themselves and share it with any of their constituents. And then with adoption on May the 5th. While this will be an amendment to the long range transportation plan, and we want it to be a standalone document, but mostly we want it to live in the digital world, because the ArcGIS mapping work that we've done is so essential to understanding all the nuances and changes with active transportation. We want to keep it refreshed and all the resources current for our localities and other advocates and citizenry to be able to use through the planning and implementation process. So I would welcome any questions today. If we can add any more detail to this quick summary, I'd be happy to do that now, and we're certainly available after this meeting. But thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Barbara, for the update and sharing the Bike Ped RVA 6 big ideas and the upcoming public engagement. This is an informational item only, but yeah, we're open to questions and suggestions. And I see Tiffany's hand is up, so please go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a quick mention. I know that the Virginia Statewide Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee is meeting on January 25th, and I know Phil typically attends those.
Okay, great.
It's a good opportunity for you all to maybe make a mention, since it's a pretty much a wider audience, and I know it probably would reach outside of the region, but if you're looking for any input on the plan, they would be a good group.
Thanks. Yeah, January 25th.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. Any other questions for Barbara? All right, we look forward to the upcoming public engagement.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon.
Next on the agenda is the Trolley Line Trail Project update. It's an informational item. And Mr. Riggin, you have the floor.
Thank you. First, I'll start. Thank you, Tiffany. That was a good suggestion. I did just get my BPAC newsletter this morning, so I had the same thought about I should probably get with John about mentioning this. But yeah, thank you, and thank you, Sharon. I appreciate everyone's time here. I just want to give a quick update on what's going on with the Trolley Line Trail. Many of you have been participating in this effort already. But Trolley Line, we've been doing this for several years now, actually before Fall Line even began. It's actually now part of the Friends of Fall Line, sort of operating as a subcommittee. But this is this particular part now is basically we have a public history project that we've been working on with the National Park Service Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program, and with Ursula Lemansky. This particular part is, what I'm going to share with you shortly is a presentation that was developed by one of the National Park Service's historians, Mallory Zink. She's visited with us a few times, and we've been working with, Betsy Hodges from the Ashland Museum, historians with Henrico County and Hanover County, and it's sort of an effort to display the history of the corridor between, Ashland, the town of Ashland, and the original depot on Laurel and Broad Streets. So that depot to depot concept along this 14.8-mile corridor. It follows primarily along the corridor that is that covers Fall Line. I'm not sure, there may be a little, your video might be blocking this map here, but I'll just try to point out where the green line operates here. Let me actually increase this. I'm sorry, that's not going to work very well, but where this green line is, that's the Fall Line. And then where this red and brown line, that's the area along Brook Road that does deviate from Fall Line, but primarily this entire effort would be, following the same corridor that Fall Line does through Henrico County, Hanover County, and all the way up to the town of Ashland. Like I say, we've been working with the National Park Service. We've been doing this for a while. We've been trying to develop, a way to talk about the history of the neighborhoods, the trolley line itself, how all this developed, and capture, some of the important historical events, not even not just related to the trolley line itself, but as you go through this area. So, sort of creating a tourist attraction on its own. Like I say, using that depot to depot concept. Mallory has put together this nice presentation for us. We go through some big ideas, talking again about, the early history. And one of our ideas was to have, audio stories. So as you go along, we could have something like a QR codes along the trail that would have you engage, you maybe using your cell phone to listen to some of the history as you go along. It's good potential there. Lots of different things that we've been pulling out with Henrico County and Hanover historians. Another, example here, we've got, in the Greenwood area, or really where 295 crosses Greenwood in the Longdale community, talking about some of the different chances, Virginia Randolph Museum is very close to that area. The Chickahominy River, talking about some of the different events that have happened, or just the historical information along in that area. A second phase would be, the story map, which we've been working on and revamping for a while. We had help from Dan Mata in our office to try to revamp some of the look and feel of that. As you can see, this image here on the left is kind of showing that older version that apparently wasn't going to be supported anymore. So we wanted to transition to a newer look anyway. A good opportunity to really enhance that. That should be completed shortly. Our new story map on that. Some of the markers, Mallory came up with some different concept markers along the way. These could be done in conjunction with some of the proposals that the Friends of Fall Line have already come up with for different, coded signage that would, relate to, all right, so we're in Henrico County, it's this color, you're in Hanover, it's that color, and so on. Same thing here, where we sort of, you may see here the little QR code at the bottom, being able to, provide information to folks, let them know that they're on the trail, but then also, how they can learn more about, what they're seeing. So, and then a final phase, which we've seen some of this already happening on the Capitol Trail, pocket parks and more interpretive signage. It's one thing to have that utility of the trail, the actual physical, 10, 12 foot wide trail, and have that connect point A to point B. It's another thing to have enhancements along the way with, rest stops, benches, covered shelter in case you had some rain or whatnot. But in particular with this, we're trying to have maybe some tabletops, little presentations for actual historical information along the way, pocket parks, some beautification. Like I say, on the Capitol Trail, you've seen the low line, down along the CSX viaduct on Dock Street, over at Osborne and Osborne Turnpike and Route 5. There's a new pocket park that's been put in there. Same thing here, the concept of some beautification along the way. As work through this, we've known all along that working with schools, museums, different businesses, a lot of good opportunities to connect folks through this entire corridor. Mallory obviously identified a lot. And then finally, with as we say, we're connecting with some of these museums or some of these other opportunities, direct people off of the trail if it's 3 blocks, half a mile, whatever it is, so people can use the trail to actually connect to a lot of these good features. So as far as with our next steps, we're going to continue working as a subcommittee with the Friends of Fall Line and continue doing the research. We've got Henrico County, Kim Sokola has been working pretty hard on her part, trying to, have to say the Brook Road corridor at one point was Henrico County. So we're trying to see how much information between the city, Henrico County, Hanover has also been, doing some work there as well. But, we're going to continue doing this. We do expect that we're entering that final phase of our technical assistance from the National Park Service. So we're trying to obviously get as much out of that relationship as we can. So anyway, I think that's pretty much all I had to show here. Are there any questions? Okay. Well, I was going to say thanks again to everyone who has already been working with us in this committee, including Sharon. Appreciate all that you do in Henrico County, and I'll toss it back to you.
All right, thanks, Phil, for the update. Very interesting, and I like the creative ideas to try and tell the history and share that with trail users. And I like the idea of pocket parks and pollinator gardens just to make it more interesting. So thank you for your hard work and the teams. And yep, if there's no other questions, which it didn't sound like, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is transportation agency updates. DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky, you are first on the list.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to go ahead and do a quick introduction. There is one of our 2 attendees on the call today. His name is Daniel Wagner. He is one of our new statewide transit planners here in our Richmond office. He started with us on December 10th, and some of you have met him in some of the meetings that we've had over the last couple of weeks. In the next couple months or so, we're going to be transitioning a little bit. He will be kind of my backup on a lot of the meetings that I attend for Richmond and Tri-Cities. But I just wanted to give that quick introduction for you all as we start seeing him on some of our calls for the TPO and CVTA. Besides that, I have only 3 items for my agency update today. First off is related to our fiscal year 2023 grant application cycle. We are still accepting applications with our deadline of February 1st. For many of you who are familiar with our grant application process, you've been hearing some of the difficulties we've had related to the DRPT website, as well as our online application portal. We hosted a webinar on the 4th to discuss some of the changes that we are doing to address some of those issues in terms of being able to accept applications. So if there are questions about any changes to our process for this cycle, as well as the grant applications themselves, feel free to reach out to me or any of your DRPT contacts. Related to our transit equity and modernization study, we did submit our interim study report to the General Assembly. That is now underway for them, and we're moving forward with the other deliverable, which is our action plan and our final report. So right now we are starting to reconvene a lot of our technical working groups and start putting together some actions and recommendations heading towards August 2022 deliverable for that final report. And then last is the SMART scale. I don't have anything more probably than what Nicole may provide from VDOT, but just as a reminder that with the round 5 pre-application period coming up in March, We are available for technical assistance. There are 2 points of contact depending on what kind of applications you're looking at for us. For transit applications, there's Taylor Jenkins. And then for rail applications, it's also Randy Selleck. And I provided their emails in the agency update. And that's all I have. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tiffany. Any questions for GRPT? All right. Hearing none, we will move on to GRTC. Ms. Robinson?
Morning, yes. For agency updates, we do have, and I apologize if I said this last month, I can't remember, but the DRPT has awarded $8 million to GRTC in state grant funding to allow the continuation of zero fare to study the benefits and impacts. So this will be towards all GRTC fixed routes and our paratransit care service. It will exclude care on demand, and that will go up to June 30th of 2025. So that's exciting. And other projects, our microtransit study is gearing up to hold jurisdictional meetings in February. These meetings will be with all 9 of the jurisdictions and focus on educating on microtransit and gathering input on service models and zones. Other than that, I think we just have the GRTC board meeting next week. That'll be on the 18th at 8 a.m. And this meeting will be virtual as well. And that is it for my updates.
Thanks for the update. Any questions for Ms. Robinson and GRTC?
Yeah, Sharon, this is Chad. Just a quick update. We were planning on, we have a new partnership with GRTC, and the board meeting was supposed to be held in our conference room for the first time in January. So the fact that it's gone virtual, I don't think impacts that partnership, and we're looking forward to hosting the meeting, hopefully live or in person in February. But hopefully that'll give some flexibility with our new AV capabilities in our conference room and the ability for GRTC to hold a more inclusive and have a little bit larger space for their board meetings.
Thanks for sharing that. I'll be sure to share that with others too. Thank you.
Sure.
Next update is Ride Finders, Mr. O'Keefe.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I did have a couple of things that Ride Finders was busy with in the month of December. We did assist some elderly and disabled communities with mobility needs, as providing transportation information and assistance to the individuals residing in the St. Mary's Woods retirement community, and the completion and service explanation of the service transportation applications for adults 80 years and older. As GRTC mentioned, we are working with them and Michael Baker on their microtransit project, and we promoted the microtransit survey on social media, and we reminded that to our ETC network as well. I know that we did have a good survey response from that, and I'm sure GRTC will share that in some upcoming meetings. We're also working with GRTC and Mac Global on GRTC's telework plan. We did reestablish a working relationship with a van pool vendor for transportation services to Amazon's Chester facility, as well as Tyson's Foods in Henrico. We've been seeing a lot of need, and especially with those 2 employers and the difficulty of people getting to work there. So we were able to work with a van pool vendor that we'd worked with in the past and make some connections there. So that's going well. We forwarded the DRPT Commuter Assistance Program grant applications link to our van pool vendors that were interested in applying for the grants for that. We shared the Central Virginia Transportation Authority's appropriation of the $113 million transportation priority projects across the region, shared multiple posts on social media, and continuing to encourage commuters to be the CEO of their commute. We wrapped up our Greener Holidays pledge this holiday season with 33 pledges and 144 page website views. And we also began preparing the Hopewell application for the FY23 funding. And with that, Madam Chair, that's all I have. And I'm welcome to take any questions should there be any.
Thank you, Mr. O'Keefe. Any questions for Ride Finders? Thanks, John. Next up on the agenda is VDOT for an update. Ms. Mueller?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning. The Commonwealth Transportation Board met early in December, and I was able to provide you with that update at our last TAC meeting, so I'm not going to go into details on the December meetings today. I did, however, provide a summary of the presentations as well as the workshop links and the action meeting link to my update for your reference. The next CTB meeting is actually today. The workshop meeting starts at 10 a.m. and the action meeting is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Moving on to Smart Scale Round 5, we are currently reviewing the draft technical guide so we can release that to you, the final updated guide before the pre-application opens in March. And like Tiffany said, just a reminder that concept and application development assistance is available through VDOT Richmond District Planning. All applicants will be contacted by VDOT District Planning to determine if assistance is needed. If you have not heard from Jake yet, he should be reaching out to you very soon. VDOT District Planning will reach out to all applicants by mid-January. Also, we're currently coordinating cost estimate training for the Richmond District, and all potential applicants will be contacted within the next couple of weeks. Moving on to the 6-year improvement program, and I just want to put this on your radar that development of the FY23 through 28 6-year improvement program will begin very soon. On to Fall Line News. VDOT staff continues to work to determine which segments of the trail can be advanced most efficiently. And we're working directly with both the CVTA and the Tri-Cities MPO to cover all of the segments from south to north. And last but not least, there are currently no public hearings within the TPO study area. And that's my update, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you, Nicole. I did want to add in that I did hear about a Staples Mill Road small area plan public meeting that's virtual. I think it's scheduled for this Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. To engage about that area and the train station there along the Staples Mill Road corridor and other multimodal transportation needs. So it's virtual from 6 to 7. And I think there's a go-to webinar.
That's correct. And pre-registering is required. So if you need that link, please let me know and I'd be happy to send that out to you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think that's it for the agency updates. Were there any questions for VDOT? Hearing none, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, number 9, future meeting topics. See what he had listed here. STBG CMAQ application cycle is listed on here. GRPT Virginia statewide rail plan, Smart Scale Round 5 project consideration, scenario planning, bike plan recommendations, CVTA project prioritization updates, Tri-Cities area MPO interagency consultation. Any other future meeting topics that anyone would like to see added?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to set the stage for next month. We do have a very, very full agenda with a lot of action items for consideration, including the Unified Planning Work Program Amendment, existing STBG CMAQ project requests, TA set-aside recommendations, FTA 5310 application endorsements, a transfer request from VDOT, and Smart Scale regional project selections. So just everybody grab a cup of coffee or whatever gets you through and be prepared. So we'll certainly be sending that out in advance and working with Tri-Cities to get the interagency consultation put on the agenda as well.
Thanks for that update and keeping us in the loop and managing expectations. So thank you. Next on the list, number 10 on the agenda, TAC member comments. Would anyone like to provide any comments or have the floor? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Well, it's our next meeting, which Chet had just alluded to some of the things that'll be on the agenda. It's scheduled for February 8th, 2022. And there'll be an agenda sent out later. We are anticipating that to be virtual. And
Yes, staff's understanding is that the preference of TAC is to stay virtual as long as possible. And until we hear otherwise from the policy board, we'll continue to push in that direction until we hear other direction from TAC leadership or the elected officials.
yes, that sounds like a good approach. I concur. So if isn't anything else to cover for this meeting, I move for adjournment. Or this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for joining today.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.